This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the AmeriCorps webinar. Ever dream of running an AmeriCorps program? Well, I think the answer is yes, because you all have joined this webinar today. My name is Kat Keene. I serve as the National Service Programs Director here at Volunteer Florida. I love AmeriCorps. I think it is the most amazing thing in our state, and I'm so glad that you've joined us to learn more about AmeriCorps for your organization. I want to give you a couple pieces of housekeeping before we get started. First of all, the webinar will be recorded and available to you if you registered. So we will send out the recorded version, and it'll also be available on our website. So if you have others that would like to hear this information, it will be available. We have over 100 people registered for this call today, and we're so excited for that. So we will be engaging you in some dialogue via the chat box. And if you have further questions after the webinar, you can reach out to us to ask those questions. The webinar will likely be about 45 minutes or so. And really our goal is to share with you some high-level information and some detailed information so that you know more about this funding opportunity for your organization. And we'll move to the next slide. So today, we will talk about the big picture of AmeriCorps. We'll talk about the member grant guidelines, activities, and budget, and then we'll talk about your next steps. So those of you that might not be familiar with Volunteer Florida, we were established in 1994 by the Florida legislature. And we're the governor's lead agency for volunteerism and national service in Florida. We're governed by a board of commissioners appointed by the governor and approved by the Florida Senate. All right, and we do see a couple comments in the chat about no volume, and so we're working on that. Can you hear us now? Okay, well, we will assume that you can hear us. Great, we see some yeses. Fantastic. Wonderful. And so we have two AmeriCorps funding cycles each and every year. So I want to also let you know that if this is not the right timing for your organization, we do have two funding cycles each and every year. At Volunteer Florida, we do a few main things. That includes AmeriCorps grants, administering those grants for the state of Florida, coordinating volunteers and donations before, during, and after disaster. So many of you may have engaged with our team related to volunteers with our recent storms. We also increase volunteerism through grants, trainings, and recognitions, with a number of other funding opportunities related to volunteerism. And then we manage the Volunteer Florida Foundation, which supports the disaster fund for the state of Florida. So a quick picture about what national service looks like in Florida. This is probably about a year or so old, but you can see the incredible impact of AmeriCorps members in our state. Over 2,300 service sites, over 12,000 AmeriCorps and Senior Corps members serving, a really significant federal and local funding investment, and that $98 million of scholarships earned since 1994. So national service is alive and well and strong in the state of Florida, and we want to help expand it to your community. Many of you may be familiar with other streams of service, so I wanted to give you just a quick look at how the world of national service works. The federal funder is the Corporation for National and Community Service, and they fund AmeriCorps, Senior Corps, Volunteer Generation Fund. So, in red, you'll see the funding that Volunteer Florida supports, AmeriCorps State and National, and the Volunteer Generation Fund. The other programs, VISTA, AmeriCorps NCCC, and Senior Corps, are administered out of the CNCS state office. So we will not be talking about those today, but we're happy to connect you to the CNCS state office if needed. Now our next slide that we're going to move into is a quick video. It's just about 1 to 2 minutes, and it really lays the groundwork for what is AmeriCorps in case you are not familiar with it. So please enjoy this video for the next probably about 2 minutes.
So you have questions about AmeriCorps? Well, you've come to the right place, because we're here to help. First off, let's clear up one thing right away. You might be wondering how to say or spell AmeriCorps. Sometimes people pronounce the P, but don't make that same mistake. AmeriCorps is alive and well, just spelled with a silent P. So think of Apple Corps or Core of the Earth. Now that we have that clear, what exactly is AmeriCorps anyway? AmeriCorps is simply Americans of all ages and backgrounds dedicating their time and skills to get things done. There we go. So how does AmeriCorps get things done? More than 80,000 Americans across the country join AmeriCorps each year, and all of them are tackling different problems in different ways. For example, AmeriCorps members help families attain affordable homes. They mentor students so that they stay in school. Perhaps there is a tornado, a flood, a forest fire, or a hurricane. AmeriCorps members also help communities recover from disasters. There's so many more things that AmeriCorps members do, but if we said it all, we'd be here all day. Why do we call them members, you ask? AmeriCorps members spend anywhere from 3 months to a year dedicating their time and skills to serve. They can volunteer with nonprofits, schools, public agencies, and community and faith-based organizations. And in case you were wondering, there are a few perks AmeriCorps members get, including money to pay for college, student loan deferment, training, living allowance, health benefits, and job opportunities with leading employers. Not too bad, right? All right. What's the purpose of AmeriCorps? Like the military or the Peace Corps, AmeriCorps is a way to serve your country. AmeriCorps members make Americans safer, stronger, and healthier, and they strengthen our communities. But above all, AmeriCorps members get things done. That's it. That's what AmeriCorps is. Learn more about AmeriCorps at AmeriCorps.gov.
All right, so we hope that you can see that AmeriCorps members serve in all kinds of areas across our country, from environmental stewardship to economic opportunity to education. So you may be familiar with an AmeriCorps program, but there's so much more that AmeriCorps members can do. I love this graphic, 8 reasons to love AmeriCorps, for so many reasons, but a couple of the reasons I love this is really to highlight the development of the AmeriCorps alums, that they are planning to be engaged in their community in the long term, and that AmeriCorps is truly a private-public partnership that leverages outside resources, nearly $1 billion every year, and just the wide sweeping locations, 21,000 plus around our country, where AmeriCorps members are tackling local problems with solutions, your solutions. We know that those of us on the ground in Florida, in your local communities, you have amazing interventions that could really be put to work with AmeriCorps members as that people power, and we want to help you do that. And so to review, AmeriCorps State and National engages over 80,000 people in intensive service each year. Members mobilize volunteers while tackling pressing problems, and they gain a number of benefits that we will review together. It's a solution. It is a people-powered service solution to a lot of challenges our communities face. A quick look at what AmeriCorps State looks like in Florida. Currently, we have 38 amazing AmeriCorps programs with over 1,400 members serving in 32 Florida counties. Our members will earn $6.6 million in scholarships when they complete their service year this year, And a lot of that funding, 81%, supports education in Florida. And we're really proud of our impact in Florida schools and communities. We receive a lot of strong applications in the realm of education, tutoring and mentoring in K through 12, for example, but AmeriCorps members can do many other types of activities. We were excited that last year our AmeriCorps members served over 50,000 students in 248 schools. 67% of those students that were tutored and tested improved significantly related to their academics. And as you know, serving in some of Florida's most challenged schools, those young people faced innumerable challenges, and we're really proud of their success and the success of our AmeriCorps members. And so here's the part that we want you to use the chat box for a moment. In thinking about your community, what are some ways that the people power of AmeriCorps could move the needle on critical issues in your community? And we'll just take a moment or two for you all to engage the chat box in thinking about what are activities that AmeriCorps members could do, how could they move the needle on things that you're passionate about? Absolutely. So we see some great things coming through related to hurricane recovery, after-school programming support, leveraging additional volunteers, and mentoring. Absolutely. AmeriCorps members can be engaged in all of those types of activities. They do build capacity via leveraging additional volunteers. We see STEM programs popping up. We have AmeriCorps members currently working in STEM programming, working with adults with intellectual disabilities and developmental disabilities, absolutely. You all are thinking of some amazing opportunities in your community. I love reading all of your chat comments. And so, correct, you all typed in many things that were direct service. They were providing a direct benefit to a beneficiary, another person. And I think that's the key to think about, the direct services that will benefit an elder, a youth, an individual with a special needs. And then the other piece of that is environmental. AmeriCorps members can steward public lands and improve and maintain public land. So when you think about what do AmeriCorps members do, it's usually the direct service for benefit to others. They're not capacity builders. That would be more of an AmeriCorps Vista program in that they're building capacity. But secondarily, they are leveraging volunteers that serve along with them that build capacity. Certainly your organization's capacity to meet mission increases. So let's talk about those areas. Many of you guys included this in the chat box. But just to review, CNCS, the Corporation for National and Community Service, via the AmeriCorps model, has a number of focus areas. And here are some of them. Education, we've talked about that, but AmeriCorps engages lots of AmeriCorps members in low-performing schools and helping students succeed. Disaster services, AmeriCorps members are engaged in mitigation and hurricane recovery efforts. I think that's something really exciting to think about in Florida. Prior to there being a disaster, how could AmeriCorps members increase your community's resiliency and mitigation efforts even before there's a disaster? Environmental stewardship, AmeriCorps members build trails, restore parks, protect watersheds, promote energy efficiency, weatherization, and clean energy. There's a lot of opportunity in our Sunshine State to take advantage of this environmental stewardship area. Veterans and military families is a fourth focus area, supporting military communities by engaging veterans in service and helping families and veterans adjust to civilian life. And the final areas include healthy futures. This is a large area that it includes nutrition education, health services, alleviating hunger, and also like independent living and social support services for persons with disabilities and our seniors. So this is a wide kind of a category involving those social supports. Economic opportunity, financial literacy, job training and placement, tax preparation. We have a number of programs that have engaged AmeriCorps members in increasing job skills of youth and adults, for example. And then the last area, capacity building, that's where the additional volunteers come in. Your AmeriCorps programs are required to leverage additional volunteers that serve alongside AmeriCorps members in that same arena so that the capacity is increased overall. So let's talk about why somebody would join AmeriCorps. We love this graphic. This graphic is really geared for recruitment. And so joining AmeriCorps is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to make the world a better place. It's an experience. AmeriCorps members learn teamwork, leadership responsibilities, other soft skills that really help those AmeriCorps members transition to the workforce and be successful. And those tangible benefits, there's quite a number of those, and I'm going to talk about those a little bit more in a moment. And that moment is now. So AmeriCorps benefits, there are many. So first of all, they're receiving a living allowance. That living allowance is a stipend payment. It's built into your budget. They receive student loan deferment while serving. They receive an education award, which is money to pay federally qualified student loans or future education expenses. Job skill development. Health insurance is also a benefit for full-time members that is built into your budget. It is not a requirement for less than full-time members. The child care assistance is a federal benefit. It is not built within your budget, and it is a benefit for full-time members, where there is direct payment to the child care facility for the member's children's care. And of course, engaged learning, connection, and understanding to their community, and career opportunities. We typically see AmeriCorps members hired by the organizations they serve with, the schools they serve, and they're often using that education award for their future dream, their future college dream and career. So here are a couple of examples, more examples of AmeriCorps service. You all included a number of great ideas in the chat box. But here are some more, just to get you thinking about AmeriCorps. Because if your organization may not be or isn't the one to apply this year, think about who else in your community might be able to apply. Think big. And here are just some ideas related to the tutoring and mentoring, independent living, or financial literacy to persons with disabilities, providing career coaching, removing invasive exotics or restoring habitat, home repair and housing units made available to disadvantaged individuals, increased financial literacy and health access services, and of course that disaster preparedness, mitigation, and recovery. So things to know about AmeriCorps. Their programs are funded through federal grants. So those of you that work with federal funds now, you'll know that federal funds have some additional layers and nuances to them. So it is a federally funded program. Organizations apply to Volunteer Florida through a competitive process for grants to support a minimum of the equivalent of 10 full-time members, or say 20 half-time members, 40 quarter-time members, etc. The host or lead organization fully manages the program and includes one FTE or equivalent in the budget for program management. And AmeriCorps members are not staff, and they cannot be placed in an administrative function. And I'll just share this kind of caveat with you related to the 10 full-time members. I have conversations with organizations sometimes that say, I really just want a couple AmeriCorps members. We would use the AmeriCorps members in this way. And what I say is, well, what's the bigger need in your community? Is it early learning achievement? Is it school attendance? Is it housing availability for persons with disabilities? And who are the partners? Because oftentimes it isn't just you, it's your partners that will collectively make this impact. So if you're not the lead on this grant, perhaps another organization in the community is the lead, and you're a partner, and 1 or 2 or 4 AmeriCorps members are placed at your agency to move the needle on that pressing issue. So I encourage you to think about AmeriCorps professionally. Think about how AmeriCorps might be able to serve those other needs that you might be involved in your civic or faith communities. There's a lot of opportunity in a wide way in most communities. And we mentioned different terms of service, and here are a few. AmeriCorps members can commit to serve a full year, which is 1,700 hours, and that really is the equivalent of a full-time commitment, 1,700 hours over the course of a full year. Half-time at 900 hours, quarter-time at 450, minimum time at 300, are some of the position types. And some of these lesser positions work better for a member corps that may be in college or that may be retired or that may have other commitments. So you don't have to engage full-time members. You can engage members that are serving in a variety of capacities. And you can do that within your existing grant. So you can apply for, say, 10 full-time members and 20 half-time members. So a combination of those member types is allowable. So what does it mean to operate an AmeriCorps program? It's yours. It's your AmeriCorps program. And if you're awarded a grant from Volunteer Florida, your organization recruits and manages those members. Your organization manages the payment of that member living allowance. You're developing local partnerships, and you're tracking and reporting on progress. So you may have many partners who are engaged in supporting AmeriCorps members, and many partners that are engaged in the overall intervention. But there is a single lead entity for the grant, and that lead entity is responsible for the program operation. Now, for those of you that are grant writers on the call today, I've included a couple slides on budget. We get a lot of questions on the budget. And what I'll say is that Volunteer Florida is supporting a Budget 101 webinar in mid-March, and we'll share that timeline in just a minute. But we do have a different webinar that will go in-depth into what's allowable and how to really construct your budget. And when we release the RFP, which will be very soon, we also have a sample budget posted on our website. So we have a number of supports. But at a high level, an organization that's requesting 10 full-time AmeriCorps members would apply for approximately $161,000 in grant funding. And that is because one MSY, member service year, you could think about it as an FTE, but it's a MSY, member service year. One member service year basically is associated with that $15,192. And that's the maximum amount that the federal award supports for one MSY. So 10 MSY is how we get to that. 10 MSY times $15,192 is how we get to that $161,920. And so similarly, if you're applying for a 20 MSY or a 40 MSY grant, those numbers then grow. There is no maximum that an organization can apply for, but there is that 10 MSY minimum. So the match is 24% cash or in kind of the total grant. For an organization within their first 3 years, year 1 through 3, that match is 24%, and then it does scale up incrementally to 27% and higher over the course of the years that an organization is a partner with Volunteer Florida. We have some organizations that have been partners with us for over a decade, close to 2 decades. And so we see AmeriCorps in some communities as a long-term solution, which is really exciting. Also, for those of you that are grant writers and budget folks on the phone, a little bit more about that match. I want to give you a realistic number for what that minimum match looks like. So for a grant to support approximately 10 full-time members, that minimum match request is going to be around $50,000. And for a grant to support about 20 full-time members, you're looking at a minimum match of around $100,000. And that is because it is a 24% match of the total grant award, not a 24% match of the federal side of the grant award. And when you complete the AmeriCorps budget and e-grants, there is a template that really leads you through the creation of that federal and match side. And our sample budget on our website also includes key calculations that will help you get there. Oftentimes people ask me, well, what are examples? What other organizations use as match? So the types of match can be cash or in-kind, and the source can be private, state, local, or federal. And yes, some federal funding is allowable as match as long as that federal funding source provides written approval. So examples of types of matches. And we did a survey of the budgets of all of our grantees, and these were the types of sources of matches that were most common. In-kind donations, space, salary, square footage, partner space as far as meeting space, local foundation grants, the school district, other state and federal grants, agency general revenue. And then the last one that was a common type of example was partners that contribute a set amount per the AmeriCorps member serving. So for example, if there's a lead agency and they're placing an AmeriCorps team at another partner site, that partner site might contribute dollars to meet that overall organizational match. So I'm going to take a breath there related to the budget and just share that the AmeriCorps budget has a lot of resources associated with it. And I will also share that it helps you calculate that cost per MSY within the budget kind of architecture. And that we provide a lot of support in our review as well. It is key that what we found is key is to have that one FTE or equivalent associated with program management so that there is a primary person that is overseeing those AmeriCorps members. It's just as if you were going to expand your team by 10 or 20 or 50 people. AmeriCorps members, to be successful, like all of us, take investment, take support and supervision, because an AmeriCorps member that has a great experience is also going to be yielding great impact in whatever intervention that you've designed. So, reporting. Volunteer Florida has programmatic reporting and fiscal reporting. We request a narrative first quarter report and a mid-year and end-of-year progress report that has data associated with it, as well as the submission of member hour support. And for our fiscal, we support cost reimbursement grants this year for new organizations. There is a fixed amount award option available for continuing or recompeting organizations, but monthly invoices and support documents to verify the federal and match expenditures are required for the fiscal report. Okay, and training. We have an amazing staff team here at Volunteer Florida, and we really believe in training. We believe in a lot of support for our grantees because your success is Florida's success, and ultimately your success is the success of AmeriCorps members and the communities that you serve. So we assign a program manager or program officer as a primary point person for your training and grant needs. We have 2 to 3 multi-day trainings annually, and every month we have either a conference call with all of our programs or are providing you a training newsletter. We also provide on-site training and technical assistance and monitoring visits every year. And that's a quick picture of some of our staff members on our team at Volunteer Florida. I shared this graphic with you. It's from an older study with the Corporation of National Community Service, but But what we know is that volunteerism is a pathway to employment. We see this, tangentially with AmeriCorps members and qualitatively, but we also know that it's backed by research. And in this particular study, we see that volunteers have an incredible higher odd of finding employment than non. And those with no high school diploma or in rural areas, even higher rate of employment opportunity because of their volunteerism. We know that AmeriCorps provides a college opportunity and a career opportunity for many that might not receive it. This is a quick flyer of our upcoming opportunity for funding, which will be released on February 25th. That is when you will get an email that says the grant is available. Applications are due on April 12th, and applications or funded organizations will start their program on August 1st. And in between, there's a number of reviews that Volunteer Florida engages in. We provide feedback and clarification for organizations that are moving forward in the competition. And we do have 2 funding cycles each and every year. And there's a lot of dates on that screen in front of you, but this is what our anticipated timeline is so that you can make your plans as well. We have our general information webinar today, and after the application release, you will have the ability to sign up for technical assistance calls and our Budget 101 webinar. That link will be in the RFP for signing up. We will tabulate FAQs that will be posted, and then on April 12th, that application and the support documents are due to Volunteer Florida and an e-grant. Then we have a process for an internal and external review and scoring, and then in late May, clarification is provided to organizations considered for funding. And this is when organizations strengthen their application and really move through to correct their budget or to strengthen other areas. Our governor-appointed commissioners review and approve the funding package every year, and then Florida sends that funding package to the Corporation for National Community Service for final approval, with anticipated contract start date in August. And one thing I'll share when you're designing your application, and we'll talk more about this, you're welcome to reach out to me anytime, is that you're designing an intervention, and AmeriCorps members are going to provide that intervention, like tutoring and mentoring around a particular curriculum. And as a result, you're going to have an output of people served and an outcome. And that outcome will be, the outcome of the service, that 80% or so will have a grade increase or be more disaster resilient. So we also have support around what we call performance measures, which is I think one of the exciting things about this model when you layer boots on the ground people power with evidence-based impact that's reported via data. It really makes for a solid investment in change, which I'm pretty excited about. And then I will just close with the AmeriCorps Pledge. This is what tens of thousands of Americans take every year. They pledge to get things done for America, to bring the community closer together. Faced with apathy, I will take action, and faced with conflict, I will seek common ground. Faced with adversity, I will persevere. I will carry this commitment with me this year and beyond. I'm an AmeriCorps member, and I will get things done. And I think that that's a pretty exciting statement. Imagine if 10, 20, or 120 Americans took that pledge in your community. And they said, faced with adversity, I will persevere. I will find common ground. I mean, it's a really, I think, incredible American pledge, and we want to help bring these resources to you. So some next steps for everybody. First and foremost, I would say gather your partners. Decide who's the lead to apply, and review the full application. It will be released February 25th, and it will be released via an email blast so you will receive it, but it will also be posted on our website under Available Grants. It is a federal application, and please pay attention to the Volunteer Florida guidance that is the first section. Next, you'll sign up for our technical assistance and contact us with your questions. There is an email contact in the application. You'll see it, AmeriCorps RSP at volunteerflorida.org. That is our centralized email to receive those questions. The due date is the 12th, and then you can always sign up for our communications on our website. And I see some really great questions in the chat comments. So I'm going to take some of those before we close. And one of those questions is about recruitment. You know, when do we recruit, before or after the approval? Well, AmeriCorps members, they're your community members. And we encourage organizations to start promoting AmeriCorps and the recruitment opportunity, but you cannot enroll an AmeriCorps member before you have a signed and executed contract. So it's something to plan for and to take steps to do, but AmeriCorps members can't be enrolled until you have that signed contract with Volunteer Florida. We also know that recruitment can be challenging, and it can be also pretty amazing if you're already engaging volunteers. Your existing volunteers may be your AmeriCorps members. And if you're partnered with a college or university, that's another great source for AmeriCorps members. I see another great question about payroll. How is payroll completed for AmeriCorps members? That living allowance distribution is paid to the AmeriCorps members either via your organization or a payroll partner or company. So it's provided in, typically it's biweekly, is the stipend amount, and it is that same set amount every week. And that pay schedule is part of what you'll develop when recruiting the AmeriCorps members. So really great questions, everyone. So this is my contact information. Email is the best way to contact me, and you're welcome to do so at any time. And you'll also see another email with the RFP that's coming out on the 25th with the centralized email. I'm happy to answer your questions via email or to set up a phone call as well. And I look forward to hearing from each of you. I'm really glad you took the time to be on the webinar today. We have some great successful programs around the state, and I often connect interested organizations to our existing programs. It's a great peer support as well. So I'm checking the chat box to see if there's any final questions, and I think we've covered many of them. If you had a question that wasn't answered today, please email me and let me know that question. And I look forward to receiving your applications. Hey, thanks everyone. Have a great day.